Hi there, I'm Chris Devine, and this is Six String World. And what I have here in my hand is the ever useful Boss BD2 Blues Driver. Now, when these came out in 1995 or so, I kind of dismissed it as a tube screamer like pedal, and I have a good reason for that. The only drive pedals you really ever saw at a blues player feet was a TS9. There weren't a lot of pedals out there to begin with, and that was the one you always saw if you were at a blues show or there was a bluesy guitar player on stage. And I just thought this was Boss's idea of getting in on some of that tube screamer action. And I was wrong, and I was very surprised. In 1998 or so, I was looking for a lower gain, rhythm like drive pedal. And at the time, Boss had a display of all their pedals at most music stores. It was a large, semicircular display. All the pedals were all connected, they all had power, and usually it was connected to a small solid state amp, more like a student or a bedroom type of amp. Usually something, again, small wattage, solid state, a 1x8, maybe it's a 1x12. It was something usually meant for a player just starting out. And that makes sense because if you're starting out as a player and you're starting to figure out what styles you like and you have a very inexpensive amp, well, one thing to do if you don't have a lot of money to buy a better amp is you can always buy a pedal for a lot cheaper price. And Boss pedals can really alter the guitar sound you have and really do some amazing things with it. So it makes sense for Boss to usually pair that up with a very inexpensive amp. And it was probably something suggested by their staff to do so. And it works. I get the idea. This time, however, that whole display was hooked up to a Fender Deluxe Reverb. And I capitalized on that situation. And I went through the entire Boss pedal range that they had. And when I stepped on the BD2, it was a real surprise. First off, it was not a Tube Screamer clone. It was far more expansive. It was a lot more amp-like. And it's something that I really didn't experience with a lot of other stomp boxes. A lot of other drives felt like they were layering something on top of your guitar signal, whereas this felt like it was more part of your actual signal. And it was really kind of an eye-opener for me. Like I said, I dismissed this pedal in a big way for nothing other than my own bad perception. Now, this was perfect for the power rhythm type of stuff I liked with chords. It also cleaned up nicely when you rolled back the volume control, and it really reacts really, really nice to your picking. And as far as your dynamics that come with it, you hit it harder, it comes out harder. You want to go a little lighter, it rings out, you get a little nice top end chime, and you still get that clarity, which is a very cool situation. A few years back, I brought this to my friend Steve Arreo, and he happens to have a pedal company called Pulsewave, and he builds his own pedals, and he also does mods. And I had him modify this pedal for me. Now, one thing I noticed is when the drive is up in the higher ranges, it got a bit raspy and a little noisy. And really, it was kind of an issue with some of the higher frequencies. It got a little harsh, a little spiky. And if I tried to compensate for that by rolling down the tone control, it did tame things, but I lost a little bit of that clarity and a little bit of that attack. So I asked him if we could adjust for that issue, and he said it could easily be done, but he might have to take off a little bit of the gain. And I was fine with that compromise. And since then, I've been beyond pleased with this pedal. Now, I've let a friend borrow this pedal a while back, and he really liked it as well. And he went out and bought his own stock BD2, and he compared my modded pedal to his. And while he was happy with his purchase, he said mine did sound a bit smoother overall. And I have to say that's a pretty good description of the mod. So I don't know the specific name or type of it, but it really smoothed out a lot of things on the overall sound. It is a little sweeter, a little smoother. It's not as harsh, but that's fine. It kind of goes where I need it to go in the higher ranges and still does what I like to do and not have to fight any other artifacts that come along with going to a higher gain setting. Now, speaking of higher gain settings, now one thing I like to do is gain stacking with this pedal. Now, with a lot of overdrives, a bit of clean signal does kind of go through the pedal, and the BD2 has a little bit of that going for itself too. And that's really great when you're running into a tube amp, as that extra warmth in the tube amp certainly rounds things out, and amps that are usually breaking up or a little dirty sound a bit fuller. Now, because of that, it makes it really great for boosting and gain stacking with other pedals. So I've done that and have had some pretty good success putting pedals in front of it and after it, and trying to find combinations that really do complement each other. And this does work with a lot of other pedals. It plays nicely. It's very cool. And they also happen to have a Wazacraft version that already comes with a modified mode as well. I haven't played the Wazacraft version, but I've heard a lot of great things about them. First of all, one thing, that they're handmade, which means some of those parts have to be substituted for the manufacturing process. And the ability to switch between the custom mode and the stock mode, well, some other parts supposedly had to be substituted as well. And from what I understand, I think it's the input buffer area of the circuit. I'm not an electronics expert, but a few people have noted that the pedal is a bit quieter overall, and even in the stock mode sounds a little clearer. I can't attest to that personally, but more than a few people have noted it, so it's worth mentioning. Now, the non-Wazacraft pedal is also a great mod platform. I found that out very well. And used ones are very reasonably priced, so for players that want to start tinkering around with a soldering iron, there are tons of mods online you can find, and you can tweak to your heart's content. Now, Boss tends to stick with what works. And this pedal is also in a lot of their other devices, like the Katana amps, the MS3 multi-effects switcher, and the GT series of effects devices. And when it came time, they were going to collaborate with JHS pedals, they chose to match the BD2 circuit with JHS's Angry Charlie, with modes of being able to use them separately or in series, so you can choose which circuit goes first, the Boss circuit or the JHS circuit, or vice versa. And it really shows how gain stacking can be a very unique approach to drive tones, and how this circuit really does work well with other pedals, and it's really kind of a cool thing. And there's also a parallel mode that allows both signals to go through at the same time, which is also a really unique way to go. I like that. Now, I know all those versions are a bit of a step away from this little pedal, but Boss has gone beyond doubling down on this pedal, and for good reason. It's a really great pedal that works on those lower and mid-gain tones that just barely kind of go into that distortion area. But it's still very natural. It's very amp-like, and it doesn't feel like a pedal, which is really kind of, well, when you get a pedal, a lot of times it feels like you have a pedal. And this actually feels more of your tone. It's part of your amp. Now, personally, I use this a lot when I'm trying to get amp-like drive without a lot of tweaking. And while it may not be on my board at the moment, it always comes with me to sessions. And it's one of those pedals I'm not parting ways with. I don't really hoard gear these days, but there is a spot for this in my collection, and for good reason. It sounds good, and it really, really, it just delivers. It's worth checking out even if you're not a blues player. It has that nice low and mid gain tones that are really easy to get to without a lot of tweaking. It's kind of a sleeper, if you will. Considering its availability and price, I'm surprised it hasn't gotten a lot of attention as a good alternative to some very expensive and boutique pedals that are out there on the market. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys. Experience with the Boss pedal. Maybe you've had a modded one. Who did the mods for you, and which ones were you looking at specifically? Were you happy with it before, or were you not so happy afterwards? Maybe you have the Wazacraft version. I'd love to know. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. If you like this channel, please hit subscribe, and the bell icon will let you know when a new video is up. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to share this, there's a button for that as well. So please feel free. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.